This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. This is an ongoing show. We talk a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game.
Axis, what's that in the distance? Do you hear the fluttering of a new patch and actual content?
Oh my god. So we actually do have stuff to talk about this week, guys. We have a new patch. Master Yi finally got his update. We have some interesting stuff that's happening with the Sejuani skin, Bear Cavalry, and some red posts. So we're going to go over those right and orderly for you folks today.
Master Yi just came out with the recording of the show, so we don't have enough time to give a in-depth look at him. We want to actually spend some time and get to know this new Yi.
Yeah, I'm playing around with him. I'm trying to make his physical kit work because, melee AD carries are hard.
He hits hard. That's all I'm going to say. It's enjoyable, but we'll get into it more when we actually have more time. Maybe Lucian's not out yet. He's in the patch. They're just waiting.
Yeah, so that'll probably come out with the Master Yi bit, we'll do them both on next week's show. And it'll be fun for everyone.
Double the characters we have to, in-depth look at. Ooh. Alright, the game design about the new Master Yi is not good enough. I'm going to rant about that later.
Patch did drop today. Interesting changes in there. Twisted Fate and Elise nerfs pretty hard. A lot of bug fixes, though that's been pretty common with all the patches lately.
Massive Karthus nerf.
They touched Defile a little bit, but they made his ease of use a little bit easier. I mean, the Defile toggle bug was
there since.
I mean, that was a hamstring build that you can kind of cheese people with, but it wasn't amazing. It was like, ooh, I can get a Defile tick every 0.8 seconds instead of 1 second. You know, who cares? Other than that, they're doing a lot of cool stuff with other champions, like we said. Changing some characters around, moving their damage. The biggest one, obviously, that wasn't mentioned in the big patch notes was Rise. I mean, they nerfed the hell out of his range. And they did give him more move speed, though. So they kind of want him to be a close-range brawler, and they want to really make his ult the core of his kit rather than just, I'm going to throw a overload at you every cooldown forever.
That's kind of what I liked in ARAM, though, was just the fact that I could just be like, alright, spell flex, and then overload. Spell flex, and then overload.
Literally, all you would do is just overload every time.
You just hear the sound of, it's on cooldown. Wait, no, it's not.
Another big change was, of course, Thresh. They changed the way the stacks work. Every stack grants 0.75 armor and AP instead of 1 and slowly diminishing. This is a very weird change for him, but
I don't know. I feel that this is actually a better change because it will just let him stack at a higher rate. Because, yeah, we're not getting the 1 to start out with, but 0.75 for every stack. So you're actually getting a definitive, okay, the more I get the souls, the better I become, and I can actually know the scaling. If I'm behind, I know how bad it's going to hurt, because about 30 minutes in, I should have about this or about this. And as a Thresh player, kind of keeping those stacks in mind is some really annoying stuff when it starts diminishing and you don't know how much each soul's going to get, if it's even worth to go farm for them or if it's just go in, you know?
Yeah, I mean, most Thresh players usually end up with, how many, 100, 150 by the end of a match?
Yeah, it depends. If you're a support Thresh, you're a little less. If you're going more of an AD kind of weird build, you kind of get a little bit more. So it all kind of depends on what game mode and all that stuff, but
yeah, that's not a bad start. 12 armor, starting with, plus whatever. He doesn't gain armor still, but, I mean, by mid-game, you usually have 50 or 60, and with this new change, that's a guaranteed amount of armor, which is a great change for him.
Yeah.
The other big thing that came with this patch, they added a new item. It's Spectre's Cowl. Ruby Crystal Negatron Cloak, 250 gold, 1400 item, 200 health, 45 magic resistance, and grants 15 HP per 5 for 10 seconds after taking damage from an enemy.
Weird item. It is a very odd item. When they're demonstrating it in the patch preview, I was just kind of watching them like...
Basically, yeah. Every time you get tapped, you get 30 health, is basically what it says.
And it seems like a really good early game item from characters that are doing a lot of poking.
Well, it's a great alternative to Giant's Belt.
That is true.
Because right now, basically, if you're fighting a caster in lane, you say, well, I guess I'll get a Giant's Belt and just hang on to that for a while. Because that's the best way to counter him. This Gives a little poke mitigation, gives you a little bit of a magic resistance, a little bit of health, everything you need really to counter a magic character. I think it's cute. I thought the HP regen was going to be a little excessive. I believe they changed it to be a little bit less, which I think is good. Overall, they've increased magic resistance on all non-aura items, and they've changed a few others like Spirit Visage and Banshee's Veil to have more unique and interesting things. Like, for instance, Spirit Visage now gives health regen in addition to its other effects. So really, it's 20% plus, or 20 health plus 20%. So
yeah, because now that Spirit Cal actually builds into it. So if you're going for a heavy health build, like if you're playing Vladimir or something, this is like a really great item for you to have, because it's like, okay, if we're trading back and forth, I'm going to be gaining power back, and it's like I'm going to drain. Okay, then you hit me with something small.
Banshee's Veil, they've also changed it. They removed the mana component from it. They gave it bonus magic resistance and health, and now in addition to its regular passive, it grants 45 HP per 5 for 10 seconds after taking damage from an enemy champion or when the spell shield breaks. So that's huge. 90 health whenever you take damage or whenever your spell shield breaks. Constantly having 45 HP per 5 in a team fight, that's insanity.
Well, what also is nice about it is it lets more champions build into a Banshee's Veil. What happens if you're playing a champion that really can't benefit from Banshee's Veil?
You're playing a Kali or Vlad or Garen.
You're forced to get Quicksilver Sash, which sometimes you might not be able to activate it. Because sometimes there's those situations where items just won't activate for you. But Banshee's Veil will just be like, alright, good to go.
When I switched to Season 3 originally from Season 2, and I was a big Garen player, they took out Force of Nature.
Yeah.
So basically I had to say, okay, I'm either getting an aura item or I'm getting a Spirit Visage, because I can't get BB. That'd be stupid. And Spirit Visage, just to accentuate my passive, it's a huge stat down. And so I said, no, I'll just get Merc Treads and have all of my runes be magic resistance. But this BB change, that synergizes huge with Garen. 45 HP regen per 5 when you're taking damage. Garen's always taking damage.
Garen, if he's not taking damage, you're not playing Garen right.
Exactly. Another big change, of course, was the removal of Runic Bulwark. We kind of hinted at this. And they made Locket of the Iron Solari build out of Aegis of the Legion. And it no longer grants an armor aura.
I don't like the whole concept of them getting rid of auras, because the whole point of playing a support is, you have some spells, but you're also sitting there trying to help the team, and your presence will help out, and that's really annoying at the fact that we're not, a lot of these fun items and the really good, powerful items that people play with, they want to get rid of because they're like, well, it's being too played, and we want people to use the items that suck, so, yeah.
Well, to be fair, they did make the items that suck a lot better.
Yeah, they did. They're working on it, but it's just like, why should I get Locket of the Iron Solari first when I can just get Runic Bulwark and it just gives me more magic resist, more giant aura?
The reason they gave is basically because of the way magic resistance was currently tooled. It was basically like, hey, everyone on the team's going to get Merc Treads, and that's the only thing we need because you got an Aegis or you got a Runic Bulwark. Now the Aegis and the Locket of the Iron Solari only give that armor aura and grant a little bit of magic resistance by themselves. So
it's a weird trade-off. I'm gonna have to get used to it, but I'm just not a fan of Aegis Legion, or not Aegis, but Iron Solari.
It's an interesting active.
It's an interesting active, but I prefer having an aura thing so there's less to manage, especially if I'm playing Sauna or something. I want to focus more on hitting my cooldowns on the right time.
Indeed. Well, a couple other changes. They reduced the cost of some items, and they put new icons in for a lot more of them. You'll have to see them in-game, guys.
It's really confusing. Really confusing. I opened up the shop today, I'm like, looking for Deathgrass. Where's Deathfire Grass? Okay, that's a new icon. Not used to that. Alright, now I just need a Vampiric Scepter. Where's Vampiric Scepter? What? But I have to say that
sounds like a very weird build you were making.
You don't know who I was playing, bro. No, it was two different games.
Right on. And other than that, big jungle changes. They're moving some creep XP around, changing spawn timers a little bit. moving turrets around, and changing some certain stuff with the smaller maps. Overall, very big patch. I don't want to say it was totally worth the wait, because it's a long wait. I mean, this is the stuff that they could have done over several smaller patches and kept players occupied.
This is just... there's something else going on here. I think they're trying to focus more on the LCS and trying to get this over with, because the LCS, once that patch changes, the players have to shift to the new patch, which is the patch that we were currently on.
Yeah, it's a little jarring for some of those tourney players.
And who was on that patch that is just like... Was that... Who was the last champion that came out? I can't even remember.
It was the Blood guy. The Blood Man.
Blood Man.
No, it was
Aatrox.
Aatrox.
So I think
Darkened Blade.
So I think they were just hesitant to bring out the Darkened Blade without, because he's going to be a powerful champion.
Oh no, he's horrifying.
So they're stalling as long as they can, waiting for LCS to kind of wrap up, and that's my guess on it. That's all speculation. I'm not like reading off a piece of paper. Frank wanted the had to be finished before he had to yell tons of damage.
Like? All right.
No, this is the piece of paper.
Oh, that's what the paper sounds like.
Yeah, the paper. Larry the Paper Man.
But anyway, interesting changes. Wish they would have distributed them a little bit more over the past couple of weeks so we could learn about them instead of reading about it for like 6 weeks on Red Posts. But that's just me.
Speaking of which, hopefully this is the last time we will ever talk about this skin. Bear Cavalry Sejuani is finally available for $9.75 for a small period of time, and then it will go up to $13.50.
Yes, it's on promotion, I believe, the next 2 more days.
2 more days, depending
which time zone you're in.
Yeah, and when this comes out. So do not use us as a determined calendar, because we don't know when this video is actually going to pop.
The skin is pretty cool. Basically, instead of like snow, it's fire, and when she hits you, her Mark of Frost is like a bomb, and it goes off when she procs it. It's cool. Her bear does a little flip charge thing with its jaw and the horns. It's fun. It's an interesting skin.
I think it is worth the $13.50. It is at a good point. Don't you agree? It's not.
I feel like the voice sounds a little different. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but that's just me.
I haven't been able to check it out, so.
Well, we'll have to give it a look-see here.
Or what's long? Yeah, I'm so ready for some new batches of skins, because at this point,
it's like one every 2 years.
I missed when we got to talk about skins and tell about how excited we are, and now it's just like, Bear.
Red Post.
Bear.
Red Post.
Bear.
Red
Post.
Update
on Bear. He has an eye patch now. Bear.
Speaking of Red Posts, we have a couple interesting ones this week. They're talking a lot about the next visual remakes. Karthus was mentioned. A few other guys were mentioned.
I agree.
Actually, there were some interesting hints that Warwick might get one as well.
But
they're also talking about tinkering with Summoner's Rift in addition.
Yeah. I have to say that Karthus definitely needs one, because right now he's like a moving like monolith that moves an arm, and then that's pretty much all that happens.
He lifts his staff, casts lay waste, lowers staff, lifts his staff, casts lay waste, lowers his staff.
Like, I love playing Karthus, but you don't get any feedback from that champion. It's like
even when he's dead, he's just standing like,
I have changed color. Amuse me. Lay waste, lay waste, lay waste. I'm dead. Up, he just kind of like flops to the side, and you're just like, yeah, Karthus. So hopefully they can add some more flair to him instead of him just being a black blob, because he needs it. And Warwick, honestly,
Warwick has that really cool hyena skin. That's practically a visual rework.
Just turn hyena into normal, and then normal into a skin.
Bam, there you go.
Right, hire us. He already has every flame skin known to man.
Exactly. In addition to that, they're also tinkering with possibly updating some towers and some visual elements on Summoner's Rift. Something fun that maybe we could enjoy. But we'll see. Summoner's Rift looks great, but if they updated it, maybe gave it some of the new tower skins that they have on Howling Abyss.
Or more some, like, Howling Abyss, sorry, I couldn't think of it for a second, actually has, like, crumbling effects. So depending on how much damage it's taken...
Yeah, like if your inhibitors start getting taken, maybe your base gets torched a little bit, and you're like, uh-oh.
Like, if you take down the front turret in mid lane, like, the trees start singeing. That'd be cool. Give us, like, some battle damage. Not enough to distract too much, like, the players and, like, all the effects and stuff like that, but just enough to make it feel like people have been battling over time. Because Howling Abyss has that. Like, you take down that tower and chains start flopping and shit around. And it's just like, oh my god.
Sorry!
Like, the first time I was playing, like, I took down a tower and I just see it just crumbling. Like, what have I done?
Millions of artifacts have been lost.
We're just... Ezreal's crying. Like, you see him crying as he's falling down. He's like, the artifacts! No!
Oh, gosh. But,
Galio's getting a look at, too, and I honestly think he just needs some more power to him. He's great against, like, AP champions, and that's kind of where his niche is, but I think he just needs a bit more tweaking, and that's what they're kind of going for, is the Rise treatment is how they pronounce it.
Ooh.
The Rise treatment.
Rotting upon by legendary men in the cups. I don't know what that is, but it is something.
And finally, kind of out of the Red Post, they're talking about what they're going to be doing for 2014 season and bringing more effect from the players in the Challenge League
and new blood.
In new blood. So how this is going to work, and this is how I read it, is that the bottom two or three teams, I can't remember, are going to be, of the LCS, are going to be put into a kind of like promotion tournament where those teams plus some of the best teams in the Challengers League will be competing for 3 spots on the LCS. So, like, maybe Team Soul Limit is having an awful season. They could actually lose their sponsorships and stuff from Riot, and a new team can be put in if they're doing bad enough.
Put their butts to the burner.
So it's like, you got some really bad teams in there, and that's going to put some new blood in. You're going to get some new stars and new people rising in.
New play styles, importantly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, we're watching the same stuff. But if we get like a new, like, veteran team they've started from nothing, just 5 friends that are playing, and they just become super good, and they start rising through the ranks, that will make LCS a lot more interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of these teams, I mean, they're trading players, they're dropping players, and it just feels so inorganic and just constructed.
Because they started up top. You get some people that have started from the bottom and working their way up in the normal community. Because I don't think anybody from Team Solomid or any of the other players have started.
They're celebrities. I mean, they stream and stuff, but it's always been like solo plays and stuff.
Yeah, they haven't. They've earned them. They just like were picked out and played from the beginning. So now we've got some new teams, and we might even have a whole new set of teams by the end of 2014 if it comes down to it.
Ooh.
And I would love to see just none of the same teams as before. Like, the U.S., like, teams, just none of them are the same. We might have, like, Curse and Team Solomid or, you know, CLG and stuff, and then everybody else is brand new.
That'd be interesting, and I certainly look forward to seeing what happens with those promotion series.
A little off topic here, but did you see that, like, the promotion stuff, that, like, all-female League of Legends team that are trying to get into the LCS?
I didn't.
I can't remember, one of my friends linked it, and at first I'm like, okay, are they good? They want to spend more time putting costumes on and cosplaying than actually playing, and I guess they're really bad when they're streaming. So they're trying really hard to become a pro team. Like, we're girls, take us seriously. I can't take you seriously when you walk on the stage as Caitlyn.
I could totally take her seriously if she kicks some ass. I'd be like, no, let her in. But if
I'm gonna play.
There's a dude who plays League. Dyrus has the stupid pillow he takes around with him while he's playing. People take him serious. Who cares?
Yeah, but it's just like, come on. They're more focusing on the costumes and being flashy.
If they want to be pretty girls at the thing and they want to cosplay really well, all power to them. If they want to be judged as pro players, whole different ball game. Let's start with actually having a uniform, and then when you guys can start getting cocky, then start doing the cosplay for show, because that's how I would do it. If I was on a pro team and I was starting to play good, I'd be that guy that would be making a show of stuff. Like, if I was at the World Finals and they had that rising platform, I'd be the guy laying on his side just nodding and being like, what up? You show up in your Teemo outfit, they immediately ban team, and you're like, oh.
How did they know? Like, the girls dress up as the team they want to play as, and just you see 3 of them banned, and they start taking it off, and they're just like...
They have another costume underneath.
Just like a Sona with the keyboard, and then she throws it off to the side, and she's like Art Mordekaiser underneath. You're just like, wait a minute.
How did this happen?
First off, they're playing Mordekaiser in LCS. What's going on?
Seriously. Alright.
Enough with the sidetrack, even though how hilarious that is. There's not really anything else to talk about.
So move on to questions.
And first off, guys, thank you. thank you for the feedback about what you guys want to see. We're still taking it in. We'll give you guys another week. Let us know how you guys feel. Do you want to see once a week, twice a week? Is there stuff you guys want to see? We're taking all sorts of suggestions right now. We're putting it into a file. We've got every one of your comments like up and ready. We've been reading them. We've been like giving feedback and also apologizing for the fact that I spelled a lot of things wrong last week.
You noob lord.
It's bad.
Kind of a crap week.
It was a bad week. I didn't expect anybody to notice, but the feedback you guys have been giving us is fantastic. So right now it sounds like everybody wants a once a week, podcast. Keep it how it is, but kind of add something new to it. So we don't know what we're going to add, but yeah. And some people are talking about us doing LCS and covering pro player stuff. Other people do it better, and we honestly do not keep up with it.
Yeah, I don't have the time to watch all that stuff, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, I watch one every now and again, but it still bores me. Honestly, it's the same characters and the same stuff.
If I wanted to watch a game be played, I can, but it's the same thing. Like, I would much rather be, in the field. I'd much rather be playing the game and learning about it and, making my own way and talking about it rather than just watching somebody else and talking about it. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But, questions this week. Our first one comes from Mr. 12. He says, if a new champion would be made and the archetype is a succubus, what would she be and what skills would she have? Mr. 12, I know you're fishing. You got a good entry for the contest, but this won't work. Now, I imagine he would have a charm skill similar to Ahri. He would have a charm skill. She would have a charm skill.
I love male succubus where it has like a V-neck down his pants.
An incubus. That's scary, guys. Now, I imagine you could do something crazy with an incubus. You'd have a charm skill, obviously. Maybe you'd have some way of, maybe making a player sympathetic to you. You could change the mini-map in a way where, like, maybe she appears as like a green circle on the map instead of a red circle, so you just quickly could like, oh no, it's alright, succubus is spot with her for, oh crap, wait.
Well, I don't know about that, because if you're a pro player, you're just still going to smack her in the face. But I could see her kind of being like a mid-range champion where she kind of like uses like claws, like extending claws, and then using a tail to attack, like a blade-type tail. And then she'd use a lot of like kind of stat manipulation. Having like, charm effects, and then if she hits someone, she slowly like reduces magic resistance.
She steals some of their AD and AP or something?
That would be interesting. I'd kind of like to see something like that.
Their life force?
Their life force, and then in the end she just topples them over, bangs Ezreal, and then he's just dead. Just 4v5 now. Because succubus is just, that's what they do.
It's true.
Hey, Ezreal, come to the jungle. Oh boy, I'll finally get laid. Just,
you belong in a museum.
After I'm done with you, just, an enemy has been killed permanently. Ezreal, what can I say? But yeah, enough about
he was screaming. I thought he was ulting.
Everything he does, he screams.
Oh jeez. But our next question comes from Ian Mansfield. He says, "What would you guys think of a field medic archetype? Maybe a hex tech or something with a needler or a gun that shoots needles with syringes that." Possibly hops down a healing station. What do you think of that?
I would kind of like to see kind of a Resistance Caitlyn kind of themed champion where he's always kind of like hunched over holding like a backpack, and then his heals would be him like throwing like bandages that would like hex-tech bandages that would like wrap around someone and heal, and then maybe he'd have like adhesive glue or something like that he'd throw on the ground like for slow and like a buff thing. Like, that would be cool.
I would love to see something kind of similar to Thresh. Where you know how Thresh throws out the lantern and you can pull people in? Maybe he like sets up shop somewhere and he creates like a healing ward and you can stand near that and sort of get a lot of HP back.
We really don't have a healing ward type item.
I mean, there are other characters that certainly heal.
But there isn't like
But there's not like, like a risk reward zone where you're like, okay, stand near here or do a team fight here. You get a lot of resistances, a lot of health back. Maybe something cool like that.
Yeah, we have stuff like Maokai's effect where it's like, I'm going to place down this thing and you're going to get like resistances and stuff like that, and I'll be able to send it back to him. But they're like, I know in Warcraft 3 there's healing
I guess the closest thing to that is Janna's ult.
Yeah, but that's more of like a knockback heal type thing. But that's her in the middle. I mean, like he'll throw down a healing like ward or station or kind of like a hex tech like IV thing, and then you could walk away, and as long as he's in that like kind of like a Thresh area of effect.
Actually, you know what would be cool?
What?
Like, he shoots like a Hextech bot, and it, like, injects the IV into him, and it's just floating next to him. And you can auto-attack it off, but as long as it's stuck in him, it gives him, like, massive HP per 5.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like, you can't... It's movable, but it's a separate target.
Yeah.
And
So
then
it's stuck to them. It floats around. It's almost like a minion that he summons that protects them.
That would be awesome.
And it could, like, soak skill shots, but it would die, obviously, but...
Kind of like the spiders for... with that... what's her name? Elise. I kept thinking Evelyn. I'm like, I'm just going to call her what's her name, whatever.
I'm just going to say female.
Olivia. But that'd be kind of cool, like, just having a character that could heal... Like, I still like the idea of having him place down, like, a ward, but as long as he's in that area, that ward's going to be doing, like, effects, but as soon as he walks away, it packs up and flings back at him. Because that, you know, they don't want it so you can just throw and teleport somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you're healing in 2 different spots. That's too risky, but if he's in the area, that makes sense.
Anyway, very interesting, guys. We love questions. We try to answer at least 2 every week. If you have a question for us about the show, about gaming in general, about anything really, we're happy to hear it. Just please send your questions in to us. Post it in the comment section below. Send it to our email at spasticgaming@gmail.com. Or post it on our Facebook page, and we'll take a look at it. Our our contest for Champion Creation is still going on. You can check out the rules on our page or on a link here, and put in your submission. You can win some free stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much it this week.
Indeed.
This has been Water Elemental.
And it's been Axis and Space.
The Final Frontier. Da, 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 da.
Ooh.